Today, I did a thing. Can you kill someone with the cannons on the map? What's up, guys? Gravity here, bringing y'all Season 2, Episode 3 of Myth Busting Mondays, the series where I take myths from you guys below and try to bring them to life in-game. Thank you to my channel members for making this awesome content possible. Let's get started. John kicks off today's episode with a super cool myth. Attaching an APS to a flower pot will make it so that if currently being held, it'll block friendly projectiles. At first this sounds crazy, but the result is fascinating. When you hold an object with an APS attached, it actually does stop friendly projectiles. What's weird is goo blobs deflect away from the field instead of just being destroyed. If friendly or enemy mines are thrown at you, they get caught on the invisible field. This not only looks hilarious, but acts as a force field. Unfortunately, you cannot walk into people with the mines or hit people through walls using a C4. Man, what a great myth to start off with. This one is confirmed. The Fresh comments, myth, what if you go beyond the Sys Horizon map with a cache box, will it come back? In our last episode, I showed how you can easily get out of the map using a gateway. I recreated this multiple times and brought the cache box with me. The same system that rubber bands you back inside the map also drags the cache box along with you. It doesn't matter if you drop it or hold it, even if you just run to the outer barrier with the cache box, it sometimes yanks it out of your hand. Safe to say, lots of measures are implemented to prevent this. This myth is confirmed. The cache box does return if you take it outside the map. Snoobit has our next myth. You can kill people with the cannons. This is one I've been dying to test for months, but really had no way without custom games. I've read online before that you can use cannons to damage players, but I have never seen a single clip of this actually happening. I was pretty doubtful going into this. Thanks to private matches, I was able to get the entire lobby in on this. I had everyone line up in the area that the cannonball hits. Our first shot blasted a giant hole in the building and seemed to hit a few players, but no actual damage was dealt. Our next few shots were the same, even after everyone kept moving closer to the line of fire. I was ready to call this myth busted right there, but my helpers insisted on one more try. After perfecting the alignment, I successfully landed a hit with the cannon.
3, 2, 1.
I genuinely could not believe this. I'm sure 99% of people watching this right now have never seen that on video. The cannonball did 126 damage, but I'm not totally positive if this number is consistent or alters at all. It looked so satisfying to have a kill with the cannons even appear on the kill feed. I'm glad after months of trying this and waiting for private matches, I am finally able to confirm this myth. You can kill people with the cannons. Up next, Jeremy says, you cannot see sniper glints if the sniper is standing in the smoke. This one was pretty easy to test. The smoke actually dims the glints from the snipers, but it doesn't completely remove it. Maybe if you used sonar, thermal vision, or tracking dart, this could be pretty fun, but in normal gameplay, I can't see it being too helpful as the smoke completely blinds your sight. This myth is busted. JFJ brings a sick myth. Heavy can charge and slam drop from a high spot into a gateway and transfer the slam to a different spot. This would have been a super fun mechanic, but as of current patch, you cannot use a gateway while charge and slam is active. It doesn't matter if you're falling in air or just running on the ground. This concept was super cool, but unfortunately, we can't do anything with it. April Fools, we discovered you can get similar results by jumping into the portal with a lot of speed and then immediately activating the ability. This allows you to slam to the floor at sonic speeds. This looks incredibly funny and actually has some insane knockback if you manage to hit someone. Even though we were able to mimic this for similar results, I'm calling the original myth busted. You cannot charge and slam into a gateway. Adrian has our first of two myths about the meteor shower event. Do the meteors in the meteor shower event clear toxic gas? This is a simple and pretty neat one. The meteors actually do clear the poison gas quickly and easily, so at least one good thing comes from the event. This myth is confirmed. Olavi has our second meteor myth. Can the data reshaper or dematerializer interact with the asteroids? This would have been super funny, but as far as I could tell, you cannot interact with the meteors using either of these. I was button mashing and getting as close as I could, but I never got any indicator that I could use them or had my cooldowns used. This myth is busted. Fong has our next interesting myth. You can't get a draw. What happens if all teams have 0 cash at the end of a round? I actually tried this over a month ago and was super close to pulling it off, but it proved too difficult and I knew this one would have to wait for private matches. If every team has 0 score at the end of a round, there is no draw. The team that is in first place by default claims victory. The only thing I learned about this is if your team is in first place with 0 score and you open the vault in quick cash, for some reason that takes your team down to second place. Definitely an interesting mechanic and game rule, but this myth is confirmed. You cannot get a draw in the finals. Hito comments, can you replace building corners with goo and destroy the walls so the building will stand on goo pillars only? Man, I'm not gonna lie, I thought this one was going to work and look super funny, but no matter what I tried, the building would still just collapse. It didn't matter how much goo I placed, where I placed it, or how perfectly I placed it, the building would somehow find a way to still collapse. It's almost as if the building breaks the game's physics in order to collapse. The buildings do all sorts of weird motions to break. This myth is busted. You cannot replace walls with goo to hold up buildings. Avocado says, player characters can spread fire by being on fire. This myth is a two-parter. Normally, players cannot spread fire to players or the environment after being set on fire. We tried doing this every way possible. We used a pyro grenade and an enemy flamethrower, and neither allowed me to spread the fire at all. For now, we're calling this myth busted, but Leonardo raises an interesting myth. You can set the riot shield on fire. He is absolutely correct on this. If you're holding out the riot shield, the flamethrower and pyro grenade set your entire character on fire. What's super interesting and funny about this is while holding the riot shield, you can spread fire to other players and around the environment. I'm not totally sure why this happens, but it looks really funny because you get a completely different and more intense fire animation. Since we have to use the riot shield for this to work, I'm keeping the original myth as busted, but Leonardo's myth is confirmed. The riot shield can be set on fire. Destroy has an interesting theory about the anti-gravity cube. You can't lift an anti-gravity cube just by throwing it on another cube, but if you place one on a chair or box, will it lift? In last episode of Myth Busting Monday, we discovered you cannot lift another anti-gravity cube using an anti-gravity cube. Unfortunately, using a chair or any other object did not seem to give us any different results. No matter what I did, the anti-gravity cube would force its way back down. I tried a dozen different objects and methods, but could not get an anti-gravity cube in the air. This myth is busted. We got an absolutely nuclear myth from Cuff. If you put a goo bowl onto a detached barricade and put an anti-gravity cube in the goo bowl, it makes a flying machine. There are two parts to this insane myth. The first is the ability to create a functioning mech suit, first discovered by Akazo, I believe. All you gotta do is place a barricade on goo, destroy the goo, and you have yourself a detached barricade. Then put some goo in the corners of the barricade and hop in the middle. If you throw an anti-gravity cube in the middle and have done this properly, you create your own personal mech suit. What's crazy about this, even though it looks sick and funny, it's actually strong and practical. The mech turns with the direction you're looking, and this allows you to shoot at enemies while having your back and sides protected by goo and barricades. The only thing that would make this mech better would be if it could fly or be upgraded, but unfortunately, there's no way to do this. April Fools again. Of course we take this further. Have you guys never watched Mythbusting Mondays before? I don't sleep at night until I've broken the game, so that's exactly what I'm gonna do. You can upgrade this mech suit into an entire flying pirate ship. I am not making this up. You can make a giant goo platform built from the barricade and add anything you'd like to it. You can add turrets, APS, mines, and even bring your entire team on board. There's only a few conditions to make your ship fly. It must be built from an unattached barricade, and when you throw your anti-gravity cube, it must be near or on top of the barricade. You also cannot hit yourself or teammates with the anti-gravity field, or else your ship will flip over. As long as you do those things, you can customize your ship however you'd like, and it should still fly. Now, as you may have noticed the elephant in the room, there's a barrier in the sky that prevents you from going any higher. Your ship can pass this barrier, but players cannot. What if I told you Cuff discovered a way to bypass this barrier? This is one of the most insane things ever in Mythbusting Mondays, so instead of trying to explain, I'm just gonna roll the clip. By mantling over barricades and staying near them, they were able to force him through the sky barrier. We experimented with this for hours and were not able to replicate the height he got in this clip. We think there could be more than one factor at play here. When flying on your ship, if you jump or climb onto barricades, it can tip your ship over or cause it to fling you away. We believe it was a combination of mantling and making the ship fling him at an insane speed that caused him to reach this height. We tried using zip lines, jump pads, and any other method we could think to breach the sky barrier and didn't have much luck. I'm positive in the future we can replicate this, but I'm glad we had enough time to at least pull this off once. Huge thanks to Cuff for this clip and tech. This looks so insane, I'm genuinely just speechless. This myth is confirmed. You can use goo and an unattached barricade to fly. Thanks for watching, subscribe for more, and I'll catch you next Monday.